Hi, this is Dr. Gayle MacBride, and I just wanted to thank you for getting all the way to the end of season 2. I hope you've enjoyed this season with all of our guests. We are busy working on season 3, so I want you to watch out for it to drop in early 2026. In the meantime, enjoy a mix of rerun episodes that have been curated for you by our intrepid host, Michael MacBride. These rerun episodes are a mix of the most listened to, the least listened to, and all of our guests. We're going to give them a repeat performance as well. So thank you for following along with us on this journey. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This helps us get more listeners. And please, even though we are on a break, we are watching our mailbag. So thanks for listening and look forward to season 3 in 2026.
Well, hey there. You've stumbled upon the intersection of internet quandaries and psychological insight. Welcome to Veritas Views on AITA, where the quirks of the internet meet the expertise of Veritas Psychology Partners.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Mike MacBride. I'm joined by our dynamic duo of psychologists. Oh, trio today.
Trio.
Sorry.
Trio. An additional mental health professional is present.
Yes, right. And I'm really excited to have the opportunity to introduce my friend of 20 years. Dr. Jennifer Service is a board-certified psychiatrist who also holds board certifications in neurology and forensic psychiatry. I met her working in the forensic psychiatry world. She has done this work for 27 years. Sorry to out you there, Jen.
Yeah,
She started
painful.
forensic psychiatrist in Minnesota, for the state of Minnesota, became the clinical director of a security hospital. Eventually, when I met her, was the forensic medical director for the state. And then she completely changed pace and started doing and I'm not saying slow down because I don't think she knows how to slow down.
No.
Taking care of general psychiatry patients in an adult clinic, and started her own forensic practice in 2010 called Minnesota Forensic Psychiatry Consultants, where she does civil and criminal work. She specializes in law enforcement and doing work for Homeland Security, Border Patrol, and other local law enforcement agencies. But, little known fact, to pay her way through medical school, she might have been the lead vocalist for a punk group called Mad Grace Kids, spelled with 2 Ds. No, I'm just kidding. That's not true.
No, that's not.
I don't remember that.
That's not true.
It's not true. But one of my favorite things with Dr. Jennifer Service, because she is so smart and unflappable, is to just feed something out there.
Wow.
To get her to laugh, because
I was ready to be impressed.
I
Totally
know. I made that up.
I was totally going to believe that.
I should have gone with it.
I am also joined, of course, today by another esteemed colleague, Dr. Daniel Kessler. He's been my coworker for a dozen years and my business partner for almost 2. So welcome, Dan. Welcome, Jen.
Super excited to have Dr. Service here with us today. And I'm glad that you reviewed our podcast, so you know what you're in for. So Jen, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
All right.
Michael, do you have something interesting for us and for Dr. Jennifer Service?
I hope so. I try to anyway. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Well, so far they've all worked out, so I think it'll work. So, welcome all 3 of you. For any of the newbies out there, if this is your first episode and you're not sure what you've stumbled into, essentially what I've done is I've gone on the internet and I found a scenario that somebody has shared, and they're essentially asking for advice. They're like, "Who is the asshole here? Who's in the wrong?" And that's what we hope to figure out. If there's been any identifiable information, I've tried to make it a little more discreet and kind of clean that up. And then if you're new, also stick around through the credits. We always have some kind of bonus conversation afterwards. That's just kind of fun. So, but I have not shared the topic I'm going to deliver to them right now with any of them. It's always a surprise, and I love to kind of catch them cold to see what they say. So this is what we got. Today's is, am I the asshole for refusing to wake my boyfriend up in the morning, which made him almost lose his job?
I definitely need to know more. We will often judge books by covers and jump on a headline.
This was a firm maybe.
So
Yeah.
I did try to find something forensic, but like I don't know, I couldn't think of exactly what that would be. You know, I was like, there aren't like murder cases or criminality that were very obvious. So this had an element of like mens rea and some of those things. So I don't know. We've talked about some of
All
that
right.
before. We'll see what comes out.
Well,
But
and I'm sure Dr. Service has been asked to write a letter or two to help people keep their jobs because of, maybe decisions or
Yeah.
attendance or something. So, like, this is not outside her scope or
No.
her familiarity.
All right.
yeah.
Tell us more,
All right,
Michael.
so
Give
this is what
give
we
us the
got.
facts.
Boyfriend, girlfriend are 25-ish. They've been dating for about a year, and he's always struggled to wake up on time because of his ADHD. He sleeps
Mm.
through all his alarms, which means he's often late, sometimes by 10 to 15 minutes, but sometimes by an hour. His boss likes him and has been patient, but yesterday he got a final warning that if he's late again, he'll lose his job. My boyfriend seems to think it's my responsibility to wake him up, but I don't think it should be. He's an adult and has known about his ADHD since childhood, so I feel like he should have figured out a system by now. When he makes it my responsibility, it makes me feel like his caregiver and not his girlfriend. I do try to help. I've done research on alternative methods, but he refuses to try them or says they don't work. I also wake him up when his alarms go off, but he usually just goes right back to sleep. On top of that, he's super grumpy in the mornings, and he's even yelled at me for both waking him up and not waking him up, which is confusing to me about what he wants. This whole situation affects me. I'm in school, I work evenings, so I'm also exhausted, especially if I can't fall asleep because he's up gaming or watching TV late in our tiny apartment. After his warning, I felt guilty for not doing more, but we talked and he admitted it's not my responsibility. I'll try to help where I can, but I still feel like he's judging and blaming me. Who's the asshole for him potentially having lost his job?
I have some thoughts.
Okay,
Yeah,
kick us off because
please.
I feel a little overwhelmed at
Yeah,
this
I'll say
situation.
Gail and I usually just leap right in, and we're both sitting here like good therapists, being quiet, allowing the space for Dr. Service, our guest.
So in my clinical world, but also in the forensic world, accountability is a big thing. And accountability is really helpful for people not to commit crimes, and holding people accountable. And if he indeed gave her mixed messages and was unwilling to accept some of her help or suggestions, I feel like it's on him. That he needs to have some repercussions so that he can make some meaningful change.
Yeah.
I do think as a partner, you take care of each other. But if your partner is, serially rejecting your help or is just inconsistent with what they want from you, then at the end of the day, I think it's on you, and you are responsible for your job and getting out of bed ultimately. And if you're not going to accept that help, you need to be held accountable, which it sounds like he was.
Phrase of the day, by the way, serially rejecting.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's
Love
a
that.
good
Yes.
phrase. Yeah, for sure. I think this is interesting because you hit on something that really occurred to me, which was as partners, we choose to show up for each other and help each other. And we have the right to say, I can't help with that. I can do lots of other things and I get some choices. I'm not obligated to help you with all of the things. And the other thing that sort of strikes me is while this individual has ADHD and they're not responsible for the fact that they have it, they do have an amount of accountability and responsibility that they hold to take care of it, to work within it and to figure out strategies. And I don't think your girlfriend can really be a long-term strategy.
No. If he had diabetes, he's not responsible for having diabetes at all. Like that, he didn't choose to have diabetes. We're talking type 1 diabetes. There's no choice there. And yet he would be responsible for making sure that his blood sugar stayed in the right level. He took the proper insulin, and he might want her some assistance. It's nice if our partner reminds us, but it ain't her responsibility to make sure he gets up in the morning. If she's willing to be kind and help, fine. But the first time he like gives her crap about it or yells at her or rejects her help, like I think she's discharged her responsibility.
I have kind of a problem that we have some stones here that he could turn and try, and
Yeah.
he's not. and he's just kind of landed on this solution that he thinks is a solution, which isn't a solution because he's only variably, accepting of it, and that there are other options like a boom alarm or one of those app-driven alarms that are just hella loud. Like this is not her responsibility.
Yeah, as someone who treats sleep, and Gail and I both treat sleep quite a bit, but as like you stumbled into, and I restrained myself from jumping in while you were talking, Michael. You stumbled into an issue. She said he sleeps through all of his alarms. Stop setting tons of alarms. People think that if they set like 8 alarms over like an hour, but all it's gonna do is give them like an hour of really shitty sleep where the alarms keep going off and waking them up, and your brain knows I don't have to get up yet because it's only alarm number 3 and I got 4 more to go. And at some level, he's done the same thing with his girlfriend. Like, oh, I don't have to wake up because she'll try again, and I'm putting it on her. And like I always tell folks, set 1 alarm and hit 1 snooze, and like you get up, and you don't set it for multiple alarms. I'm wondering what the two of you think about the ADHD angle on this, or have another comment
think
about the
he's not
alarms.
making the ADHD any better by setting probably a series of 8 shitty alarms. Like, you really are shorting yourself sleep opportunity here, and that's just never going to improve your ADHD symptoms. Get good rest and sleep.
Right.
Get 1 snooze.
Well, I think that he needs to make an appointment with his psychiatrist. I mean, what is going on here? Is he not
Captain
being
Obvious.
Can he not
Thank
fall
you.
asleep at night? I mean, does he need to adjust the timing of his dose or his dose of stimulant? I mean, assuming he's taking a stimulant. I mean, these things can often be fixed, like you said, by the alarm issue, but also the dosing of medication, timing of medication. And it's, I mean, you can often fix that relatively easily. So he, again, needs to be accountable and make an appointment with his doctor, and not have his girlfriend be his doctor or his alarm clock.
I suspect there's a hint in here for us. He's staying up late gaming, and he's clearly got a report for morning or work sometime in the morning.
Yeah.
So he is messing with his sleep, and I'm wondering when he's actually if he's on a medication and when he's dosing that.
Right.
Because sometimes we're motivated to stay up because we want a game, and those are the late time hours. And so maybe I push my dose back, into the night where, so that I can stay up and stay focused.
So what part of what we're seeing here is that ADHD, like that high stim environment of the gaming, is so rewarding.
Yeah.
Are we seeing that, like, they're framing this as a waking up problem? But and Jen, I appreciate your comments about this, because it's like it sounds like it's maybe not even a going up problem, it's a going to bed problem.
Right.
Like maybe medication too late in the day, but maybe also like he's not going. If you don't go to bed until whatever o'clock in the morning, you're not going to wake up in the morning for work. Like the problem isn't morning guy, it's night guy. Keep up all day here, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way of thinking about it.
Yeah, so like, I mean, her question is, am I the asshole here?
Well, no, I think we're all circling around the she's not the asshole here.
She's not the asshole.
But maybe here's the question: is he an asshole, or is he a person with ADHD that really appreciates how much impairment this is causing in his life, including that lack of going to bed on time? Sometimes ADHD people talk about like almost the dread of the bed. Like I gotta wind down and I gotta destimulate from the day, and it's not nearly as much fun. It's not as interesting.
Yeah, he's not an asshole for having difficulty with his sleep or being stoked about gaming necessarily. But the treatment of the girlfriend here, the blaming her for things that are his responsibility, like he loses his job and he's blaming her for that. No, like, and you can't get up in the morning and it's your girlfriend's fault. No, that's not that about that. Yeah. I think he is. I think I'm not okay with the taking responsibility for my behavior and placing it on someone else, which is what
I agree. But this is maybe there's a great opportunity. Let's repackage this, that he can now make some meaningful change, and maybe it'll stick, because jobs are important for most of us.
Yeah. And maybe he'll treat his new job and his new girlfriend, or if the girlfriend.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I sort of think that this girlfriend is like teetering on this edge of, I don't know that I want to be responsible for this. And if he's not going to separate me from this, then maybe this is not my, best long-term relationship.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah,
repackaging this as she's learning something. He may or may not. He sounds like he is lacking some.
Yeah.
Yeah. At
Yeah.
least now we always have to caveat this that
Yes,
we're getting her side of it.
true.
On the other hand, I just can't think of a side of his that's like it's gonna
I
make
can't either.
Yeah.
You're right. No, I've had people show up in my office and say essentially that, like, it's her fault. Like, she's not waking me up, and that's their job. I was supposed to get to work on him. She didn't do it.
Yeah.
You could have.
Yeah.
She was up.
No.
Yeah,
Come on,
he's not
her.
7. So I'm assuming he's not.
Unfortunately
And
not.
so at what
Mm.
age, do you not need somebody to wake you up? And I think it's actually your teenage years, honestly.
Absolutely.
For
And
sure.
part of me is like, you, sir, are a grown-ass man.
Mhm.
But on top of that, I mean, this gives us when we work with folks, one of the things that I'm hearing here is like, I have ADHD, therefore I cannot.
Right.
And we're always working with folks to say, I have this illness, this disability, whatever, and now I'm responsible. It's not fair that I have it,
Right.
but it's my responsibility to deal with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do a lot of disability claims as well in my civil work, and people assume that, if you're diagnosed with depression or anxiety or anything, ADHD, that you are disabled and you shouldn't be held accountable and people shouldn't expect things of you, which isn't the case, because most of us manage something
Right.
in our lives, and most of us don't decide that we're disabled. But a lot of people just sort of throw up their hands and say, well, I have this, I just can't be held responsible,
Right.
or I can't, complete these tasks or what have you. And it's remarkably common.
Yeah.
And I see
And
that a lot.
when someone is disabled and they truly can't, we absolutely, I mean, that's what we have
Yeah,
decided. If you're disabled and you cannot, you'll be provided for at some
yeah,
level.
absolutely.
And at the same time, people get caught in that sick role that I'm disabled and I can't do this whole range of things. And if we can move towards them, Gail, you do a lot more work with ACT than I do, and this seems like a very acty thing. Like if I
It
can
is.
accept
Yeah.
it, go ahead.
No, please.
No, but if I can accept that I have this disability and then work within the framework of what I still can do. And I do a lot of work with folks on yeah, you can't do this and this. You absolutely can't. And we need to
Right.
accommodate for you. And you can do this and this. And if we can focus on what you can do, life is going to be better for you. You may still be disabled, but life will be better for you if you
Okay.
focus on
No,
what you
you will
can.
still be disabled. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no, in ACT, we're really not trying to change the disability or the problem. It really is a treatment that's provided for folks that, we say like that's not going to change, right? But
Mhm.
now, what are you going to do? How are you going to adapt your surroundings or the means to whatever end? But it's not random. It's not. It's not scattershot. It's really with this idea of being driven by sort of meaning and purpose. Why is this important to me? What are my values here? And how can I still fulfill my value-driven behavior in a way that's adapted for the challenges I face?
Can
And so
I
this man
ask
has yeah,
a
this,
basic thing? What is ACT?
ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. Thank you, Michael,
Okay.
for
Yep.
the non-mental health professional on the line. We should have defined that sooner. Sorry.
and for this
Commitment therapy is it's a brand of and a way of thinking about your world that's really specific and particularly good for conditions or things that are unchangeable. You really make the decision to take control of what's in your control.
yeah. And for this person, with ADHD, it's very reasonable to accommodate certain things. The person
Mhm,
may need to be in a non-distractive environment. They may need a little extra
mhm,
time. They may need other placements. Kids sometimes do better when they have headphones to block out sounds in schools, and we want to
mhm.
accommodate what we can. And at the same time, we need to tease out. This is the question I'm always asking parents or adults I'm working with ADHD is this a can't or a won't?
Mhm.
And if it's a can't, we accommodate for it. If it's a won't, we need to help the person make different choices. And in this particular case, going back to our question today,
Yeah.
this has a real feel of a won't
Mhm.
that
I
he's
agree.
packaging as a can't.
Yes. That's well said. We should go to the comments from there.
Well, actually, before I do that, there
Okay.
were three kind of side conversations. I always love like watching the comments and how they people pick at different things and whatever. But the three things that kept coming up were one, it's probably time for girlfriend to jump ship. You're in a low key abusive relationship. Two, his parents did him no favors by not teaching him tools and intervening sooner. And then three, what are some tools or things that he should have in his toolbox to help with these things? And you've talked some about those, but if you could expand on that, maybe that would be an interesting point of conversation.
Expand on the tools, or the parents not doing favors, or the girlfriend in a
low-key abusive relationship, any of those. I don't know.
Spend 6 hours unpacking this.
I think that he needs to sort of, you guys are the sleep experts, but I'm always talking to my patients about, what does your day look like when you get up, when you go to bed, because that needs to be pretty much set every day. And what is the structure of your day, and what does that look like? And how are you managing that? I mean, and really sort of sit down with pen and paper and look at that, and look at what you're not doing well, and talk about how you can make changes with that. And for my world, I mean, I prescribe medication, how can we adjust things to help with that? And then behaviorally from you guys, how do you make those behavioral changes, like not gaming until 1 a.m? And really, I think visually having it written down is incredibly helpful for people to sort of realize, because I think that you get into these routines and these patterns that you don't sort of realize are really limiting you and in your ability to function.
The thing I think I'm going to jump on a little bit is a little different take, which is the OP, the original poster here, is a girlfriend, and she's saying, am I the asshole? I think what she's doing as a relatively young person is trying to explore and understand her role as a significant other. She is setting boundaries and trying to figure out how to hold those and really understand what is her scope of responsibility here. So I think she's done herself a favor to, kind of like, I don't know, throw it out there to the internet and get a little bounce back and feedback about this. But she's got some growing work to do too, I think, because, she is being told and influenced by this guy that, this is something you're supposed to be doing for me. And she's kind of questioning it. I think that's a wise question. And now she has a harder decision, which is, what if my boyfriend doesn't make change? Am I going to be okay with staying in this relationship?
Yeah. And I think that's an important question. I'm going to jump back to what Dr. Service said a minute ago. It's like, sometimes for folks like this, whenever we do sleep work, we always ask for someone for a sleep diary. And a good sleep diary is going to show really quickly, dude, of course you're not getting up in the morning.
Right.
Like you're going to bed at 3 a.m. Like that is a super simple fix.
Right.
So there's that piece, like fixing this guy's sleep. And I totally see this girlfriend like exploring this relationship, and I because it's a one-sided thing, I'm not ready to necessarily say he's being low-key abusive. However, her description does certainly describe someone who's really mistreating his partner.
And I think our discussion is really focused on the fact that this guy needs to make changes. And he has no awareness of this.
Yeah.
Again, that insight piece, one of the things that we assess forensically, right? Insight, does he have insight into this? He really doesn't sound like he is. So we can come up with sleep strategies and medicine strategies and all of these things. But the reality is he doesn't sound like he's someone who's going to present in our offices. She is. She's up and say, I'm in distress. I really care about this guy. I really, I want this to work. We're living together. And like, he's telling me this is my job. And I sort of think this is his job. And what do I do? And so I think we would end up having a very different conversation. Oh, maybe not. Maybe he would say something different because we don't have his perspective. But I kind of don't think so. I think he has been raised in this world that, he's just used to sort of being taken care of.
I think there's a huge disparity in their level of maturity. I mean, he strikes me as somebody who's quite immature, which, no offense, Michael and Dan, but males tend to mature a little later.
You're not wrong. Keep going, please.
And so I think that there is a significant disparity. I think it's remarkable that she is really looking into this at her age and really not just going with it. I think a lot of people just put up with it until, they're married, and 7 years in, they decide that they, don't want this role anymore. So, my hat's off to her that she's really looking at this. And he's got a lot of work to do if he is able to do it.
But there's high yield and high reward if he's willing to show up and make a couple of these really seemingly small changes that will yield big results.
But as several of us have pointed out, like, he's not acting as someone who is looking to make change. He's acting as someone who's looking to make other people make change on his behalf.
And he's been relatively fortunate with people who are willing to be flexible. I mean, this boss keeping him on, I can't imagine continuing to employ someone who routinely shows up an hour late to work.
Well, he's probably very likable.
Probably.
My guess is, he's probably got some skills and a personality style that's likable. And so he just needs to work on this piece of it. And, honestly, losing his job and perhaps his girlfriend may be what it takes for him, hopefully, to turn it around. I mean, that's where the hope is that these changes and these losses will, prompt him to make changes.
Sometimes regret is a powerful teacher.
Yeah. So, Michael, what did the internet say?
Yeah. Well, first, she did actually offer an update, which was she did say that he got a final warning at his boss.
Final.
Oh my God.
Essentially, this can't happen again. And she and him are continuing to work things out. So, but the internet overwhelmingly was in the camp of you're not the asshole here. He's a grown ass adult. He's had time to figure this out. He's had multiple warnings, things like that. The more interesting, I think, kind of conversation were in the either you're the asshole or everybody sucks here category. They were neck and neck. So the you're the asshole thing really narrowly focused on you knew this was it and you let him, you blew it for him. Like you have a response. And I agree, like that felt really harsh, but that was where they came down. And then the everybody sucks here basically was like, yeah, he's blowing it. People are enabling him. You're enabling him. Like you need to get out of his way and let him fail. And those were kind of the other internet comments, but.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then I guess the third thing that was, or fourth thing, were a bunch of apps that people threw out there as like, hey, here are apps that I use for my ADHD. Here's the, the screaming alarm or the puzzle alarm or all of these things that make it so that you just set one alarm and you really have to work to turn it off. Kind of thing. So
and we certainly use a few of those. I certainly have used a few of those apps with folks who struggle with getting out of bed. Those alarms that are super aggressive, or that you have to. My kid back when he was 14 introduced me to one that you have to you go into the kitchen and take a picture of the stove or something.
Yeah, that now costs money.
But you know what? But he was 14 and he got himself out of bed. He had that. So like so if a 14-year-old middle schooler can figure that out on his own, then I think that this particularly grown-ass man, even this grown-ass man with ADHD, can figure it out on its own.
So Gayle and Dan, so I get from a lot of patients, I get the sense from them, or more than that, that they think that sleep is a luxury, that, you get what you get, and oh, well, and I feel super tired, but you know what, I've never really slept well. And, you just maybe get sleep, you maybe don't. And I often say to them, well, do you feel like breathing is a luxury? And let's try to think of it the same way. But I'm wondering how you have those conversations with them, because to me, it's I'm like, don't you feel better after you've slept, 7 to 9 hours? And they're like, yeah. Well, why wouldn't you want to work toward that? So what are your sort of conversations with people?
Well, there are folks that I work with will sometimes, like, we'll do the sleep diary and we'll resolve their insomnia, and they're still getting 6 hours a night or 5.5 hours a night. They're still exhausted. We look at their life and I'll say, you don't really have a sleep problem anymore. You have a logistics problem. You have a lifestyle problem. And if you're taking care of kids and doing all these things, bed at 11, and you're trying to wake up at 4:30 to go work out, you're not giving yourself enough sleep opportunity. And we certainly do see folks who exactly that, who view sleep as something they can fit in when they have a chance to, which also doesn't work. Gayle, you were jumping to, and I got ahead of you.
Oh, yeah. I think it's interesting. I think we have a culture and a communication around what sleep is supposed to look like. And I think it's created some disservice here. Social jet lag is just accepted as normative. Social jet lag is this idea of, especially on the weekends or days I don't have to work, I get to stay up super, super late and I'll sleep in. And then, I try to function the next day when I have to go to work or school. And I have created essentially jet lag without the benefit of actually going anywhere really cool. So, I got a text the other day from a friend, and I don't know, it was 11 o'clock, and they had disclosed that their child had not even poked their head out of the bedroom yet. And I thought, and my kids just know we don't do social jet lag. Well, you can sleep in a little bit, but we don't do that egregious amount because it really sets your circadian rhythm sort of upside down. So I try to do a lot of education around that, and that's something that I think people come in with, and they expect to get great sleep the next day or whatever when they've whipped their circadian rhythm back and forth, really hard, and we just think it's normal, and then we think it's like kind of okay, and then I get the other end of the spectrum, which is, oh my God, this is really awful, and I can't not do this, and like it's really like almost this like desperateness, and that desperateness of chasing sleep, and so I would say it's almost on the other end. I don't sleep well. I never have slept well. And I just have to sleep right now. And that amount of pressure, and I sometimes call it and for those of you on YouTube, sleep, damn it, is like really overwhelming. And you don't actually get to sleep when you're feeling that anxious about sleep. And so we often are, or at least my experience is at two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. And you said this, I'll say it really explicitly and concisely: wake up at the same time every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wake up at the same time every day. Yeah, I know it's a weekend and it sucks to wake up in the morning of the weekend, but if you wake up at the same time every day, we're going to eliminate a substantial number of sleep problems simply by waking up at the same time every day, regardless of when you go to bed at night.
Well, I mean, in all people, but like it's legit hard for teenagers as they're experiencing that circadian
It's
rhythm.
legit hard for teenagers are a whole other animal. That's another episode.
Right, but I just want to acknowledge that it's not, yes, it's succinct and it's short, but that's also really an under nuanced version of the recommendation, but it's the best place to start.
Thanks, all three of you, for another riveting glimpse and a debate into the collective conscience of the internet forums, relationships and sleep and ADHD and responsibility. Remember, morality is often shades of gray, not just black or white.
And your mental health condition, your physical disability, whatever it is, really not your fault, but it's going to be your responsibility to take care of.
Yeah.
So accountability.
Yeah, where possible. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you, Dr. Service, for joining us today. I really appreciate this. I really appreciate you joining us. And please, Jen, stick around, because I think the bonus conversation is going to involve you.
Oh, okay. I will definitely stick around. Thanks. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah. Well, everyone out there, please follow and share Veritas Views, any of the podcast platforms, with your neighbors and friends. And as always, stick around through that bonus, through the credits for the bonus conversation about, I don't know, whatever they're going to throw Jen's way.
You can follow Dr. Dan Kessler at Dr. Dan Kessler and Dr. Gayle MacBride at Dr. G. MacBride. Oh, and you can find them both at veritaspp.com. Credits: Tickling the Ivories, Matthew Reddington. Art, production, and design, bringing the show together with flair and finesse, Michelle Love. Recording and editing, turning chaos into something worth sharing, Michael McBride. Intro, outro, I'm Kelly Buttrick, a VO talent who just happens to be Dr. McBride's cousin. Cats, CJ, Linus, Sadie, and Griffin. Hosting by whomever lost the coin flip. Interruptions by all their children. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Listening to this podcast does not constitute a therapist-client relationship. If you believe you may be experiencing a mental health issue, please seek the assistance of a qualified mental health professional. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, you can call or text 988 from anywhere in the U.S. to be connected to Crisis Mental Health Services.
Thanks for listening. As promised, here's that bonus conversation.
Jen, we started season 1 and we routinely had discussions about a favorite item, or excuse me, an item in each other's office. And we'd ask a question and tell the story, and it was kind of interesting. And so I'm not sure if I see your office behind you here on the video screen, but I was going to ask you, what is a favorite item that you have in your office that maybe tells a story a little bit about you or your practice?
Yeah, so I have 2 desks. I'm looking out windows, and then I've got a desk behind me. But right in the middle of 2 of my screens, which you can't see, is my saddle. And
Saddle?
I used to be an equestrian, and
Is that like the punk band thing that Gayle mentioned, or is this real?
it's all wrapped together. Yes, I rode horses, and I was in a punk band at the same time. Yes, from when I was a kid, my saddle is right here, and I often think about getting back literally on the horse. But then now
Saddle?
that I am nearly your age, Dan, I I'm too afraid to fall. So
Fair.
so it's a reminder of early years.
Oh, that's really cool. That's something I
Yeah.
did not know about you.
Did not know
Like
that
I
about
said
you.
earlier, I've known you for 20 years and I did not.
Yeah, it's probably been that long since I've ridden.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Tune in again next week for a whole nother Am I the Asshole debate.
We love hearing from you, so please review us on Apple, Spotify, or, well, wherever you're listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please review, like, and follow. Also, give it a share. This helps us reach more listeners.